Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today, we will lose ourselves in The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. The Island of Dr. Moreau is a science fiction novel written by H.G. Wells and first published in 1896. It explores profound ethical questions about science, morality, and the nature of humanity. The story follows Edward Prendick, a shipwrecked man who is rescued and brought to a mysterious island governed by Dr. Moreau, a scientist notorious for conducting experiments in vivisection. Through this dark and unsettling narrative, Wells delves into themes of cruelty, identity, and the consequences of unrestrained scientific exploration. The Island of Dr. Moreau remains a thought-provoking and disturbing tale that highlights the dangers of unchecked ambition and ethical transgressions. Plot summary. In the vast Pacific Ocean, a man named Edward Prendick is left adrift after a shipwreck. He is rescued by a passing schooner, captained by a drunken man named Davies. Aboard the vessel, Prendick meets Montgomery, a mysterious and somewhat disillusioned man who tends to the ship's cargo of strange animals. As the schooner nears an isolated island, Montgomery and his peculiar assistant, a creature with odd, animal-like features, prepare to disembark. Despite Prendick's protests, he is unceremoniously cast off into the dinghy, forced to accompany them to this remote and foreboding place. The island is under the control of Dr. Moreau, a figure from Prendick's past whom he recalls as a disgraced physiologist driven from England years earlier for his unethical experiments. Moreau's interest in vivisection had sparked public outrage, and now, far from the reach of civilized society, he continues his work without restraint. On this island, strange and terrifying creatures roam, beings that blur the line between man and beast, products of Moreau's grotesque attempts to turn animals into humans through painful and invasive surgeries. Prendick's initial confusion and horror grow as he explores the island. He encounters the beast folk, a grotesque collection of creatures that speak, walk upright, and follow a primitive set of laws imposed by Moreau. These laws, designed to suppress their animalistic instincts, include rules such as not to go on all fours and not to eat flesh. Yet, there is a constant tension within the beast folk, a struggle between their imposed humanity and the primal urges that lurk just beneath the surface. Prendick realizes that Moreau has not succeeded in creating true humans, but rather tortured and hybridized creatures whose fragile sense of self constantly threatens to unravel. As Prendick spends more time on the island, he comes to understand the hierarchy Moreau has created. At the top sits Moreau, playing the role of God, controlling his creations with threats and the promise of further pain if they disobey. Montgomery, Moreau's disillusioned assistant, helps maintain this fragile order, but becomes increasingly unstable as he drowns his guilt in alcohol. The beast folk, though terrified of Moreau, are constantly at risk of slipping back into their natural animalistic behaviors, their human characteristics nothing more than a thin veneer. The turning point comes when Moreau's latest experiment, a puma that he has been trying to mold into human form, escapes during one of his painful procedures. The creature's flight is a catalyst for chaos. As Moreau pursues the puma through the dense jungle, the carefully maintained order begins to collapse. The beast folk, seeing Moreau wounded and vulnerable, start to question the authority of their maker. The laws that have kept their animal instincts in check begin to break down, and they slip further into their natural states. Moreau is eventually killed by the puma, his body found torn apart in the forest. With Moreau dead, the power dynamic on the island shifts dramatically. Montgomery, already struggling with his own moral dilemmas, spirals into self-destruction. In a drunken stupor, he releases the beast folk from their confines, effectively dooming himself. The creatures, now free from the restraints of Moreau's laws, turn on him, and Montgomery meets a brutal end. Prendick, left alone on the island, is forced to contend with the growing anarchy among the beast folk. Without Moreau's presence to instill fear and discipline, they begin to revert fully to their animal natures, and their society disintegrates into violence and chaos. The constant fear of being hunted or attacked consumes Prendick as he hides and waits for an opportunity to escape the island. Over time, the beast folk's regression accelerates. They begin to lose their ability to speak and walk upright, reverting entirely to their original forms. Prendick, though terrified, manages to avoid becoming their prey. His solitude, however, weighs heavily on him as the line between sanity and madness begins to blur. Stranded in a place where the distinctions between man and beast have all but disappeared, he wonders whether he, too, might lose his grip on humanity. After months of isolation, a passing ship finally arrives. Prendick is rescued, but the horrors of the island stay with him. Returning to civilization, he finds himself haunted by what he has witnessed. Although he is physically free from the island, the experience has forever altered his perception of humanity. Surrounded by the bustle of city life, he can no longer look at his fellow men without seeing the animal instincts lurking beneath the surface. Prendick lives out his days in a state of alienation, never fully able to shake the feeling that the line separating man from beast is far thinner than he once believed. If you loved this, don't stop here. Check out other books by H.G. Wells. You'll find them below or on Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in H.G. Wells's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.